camera's always to the left before you hit your record button on yours. Perfect. And nice slow movements, and we're going to start spreading about. Just stay away from in between vehicles. Do not go in front of vehicles. You guys get the point. I'm going to bounce around with all of you and see what's going on with your devices. I am going to stop Shelly and show her how to get to that word list. Have you had any numbers yet, Carson?
When I held it up to my phone, I got 26.
Well, that's no good. So,
not really.
So you did test it. So
I did.
Good.
I did.
But yeah, let me definitely know 2.5 and higher. We've normally had something in here by now, by the time I'm done telling the history. So just definitely keep an eye on it, because you're going to know where all the hotspots are. You're basically in charge, if you want to look at it that way. So it's just like, really, you're putting cars in charge.
They should be.
All right, so
What do you mean?
whenever I want to see the word list, I hit the little scroll, and you can do it too. It's not going to bother me. You can look at it in between. Oh, look at that. It's very interesting. It's a public. I said it right. Oh, and I said nerd.
But that was afterwards, a bit after.
Even still, it doesn't always need to be in real time.
Yeah,
Sometimes
I know.
we're waiting for it, and we have to give it to us. Wow. So far, like, those are the only two things. Sold is possibly, I need something else with that. We can't verify it.
Where's Eliza at?
Anything?
Put it back to the other.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's this little button right there.
Perfect.
Two buttons.
Thank you.
And you had an OH on there.
I did.
I.O.
Well, the funny thing is they're from Ohio, and I'm originally from Ohio. That's why it looked like OH to me.
That's funny.
And we talked about that before you guys arrived. So, very weird. We're going to see what's happening. She had the word STEM on there as well. We're talking about Eliza's garden. We can get a lot of gardening terms. Interesting.
We did talk about it.
We did. Have you heard anything yet? Is it popping up anything? Any noise at all?
I've heard nothing. Do I have it? How am I doing? Okay.
Now it should be popping a little bit. Yeah, it takes about 10 to 15 seconds to warm up. It looks like we don't have the noise canceling on there good enough, but I'm gonna kind of see how we do with it. Keep it unmuted. Let's see what you can actually get out of it. The cool thing is if you actually stick with Brody, that thing doesn't record. If you miss something, it'll be on his audio as long as he's recording. If you get my point. Have you caught anything weird? Do you need me to explain anything further on there yet?
Nothing yet.
Okay.
So did I not have it started, or?
Yeah, you had the mute button.
I thought I hit it. So.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll find little jams in there that you know.
Do you like music?
So with this particular device, I always kind of show people, like, it will pick up, like, there's a sign in front of that truck.
Yeah.
You know, it's that close, or there's a sign in front of that car in the distance. It'll pick that up. So anything that's in front of something else, the problem for you is that we're outside. So trees, ivy, anything like that, leaves are all in front of each other, so it is not your friend at all.
Yeah.
We're going to actually be near an ivy wall later on, and I'll point it out like, hey, this is not your friend. You'll get the point.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, nothing is going to show up in the trees. It's always going to try to make it look like a person, so that's what it's designed to do.
Yeah.
Because they want people to actually try to make something out of nothing. I did talk to the developers of the app. Like, they were pretty, you know, like, hey, this works really well against the Xbox 360 camera, so forth and so on. And then he's like, just make sure you have the Apple LiDAR technology. It works the best versus Android technology. So, I mean, I had a nice conversation with them of like, how does it work and what should I be looking for? We have caught some things with that so far. I mean, full figure things, that people moving, waving their arms at us when we ask them to. Like, we've had a handful so far,
cool.
and we've only
That's
had it for
awesome.
about 2 months. So maybe a little bit over at this point.
That's cool.
Yeah, that thing's giving off way too much. Let me turn the noise canceling. You should be getting like little bursts of it. Yeah. Kind of like that.
Yeah.
And then it goes down to silent. Like, I want some silence. Yeah. That's the way that guy should be working.
And then you'll tell me, and I
When we regroup so I can get
Got
all
it.
the answers, I'll say, go ahead and mute your device so I
Got
can
it.
start talking.
Awesome.
All right.
So let's walk around.
Yeah, let's walk around the moon. Yeah, because yours picks up everything I have. Yeah. So that's crazy. Oh, you got that. I'm like, whoa, shit.
Funny. What's up, Mom?
That's wild. That's crazy. It's just their mansion. That's your garden action?
I'm guessing these were the steps to get to the house, unless they redid the whole thing. Got a solid 12 for like a couple seconds, but that's it. Eliza's being shy tonight.
Yeah, she is.
What? Eliza's being shy.
Welcome us to your house, Eliza. This would be a pretty good spot for a little mansion.
I agree. Is that Drake?
I think so.
You get anything like
All right, Mike, anything?
All kinds of just this.
Probably good.
Yeah.
Again, you're not always, it's only about 20 turns all night long.
Yeah.
So when it shows up, it shows up. Comes to dinner for sure. What do you got now?
asked Eliza how she died, and we heard David.
Damn this David. So, I don't know who this guy is. He keeps popping up. I can't find, like, his name just pops up. It's shown up here several times, and it shows up at another spot, probably more times than here. But I don't know who the hell David is. I'm writing it down again to see if maybe he's something relevant to hear again.
Damn this David.
Damn this David.
Again, when I'm out here as much as I am and you guys keep telling me the same things, I'm like, oh, that's because of this, that's because of that. Damn, David. Like, I don't know who it is. So,
Back out of the game.
What's up with David?
yeah, who the hell's David?
Where was David?
Brody, anything coming up on there at all?
Nothing.
Anything crazy going on with the cam? He's gotten all the way up to a 19, so
Nice.
the average spike for here is 18
Cash.
to 22. I'll explain that a little bit more before we leave the space.
27.9.
Nice, of course, as soon as I mention something. Thank you, Eliza.
Or David.
Or David, whoever the hell you are. If he says full moon, and we're like, all right, we're done here. That was a 27.9. Rating in the dark is now on my resume, by the way.
that's really
so,
cool.
Well done.
I know, right?
Yeah, that's impressive.
No, me interpreting my hieroglyphics in the morning is impressive. When I was out late to say, what the hell was I writing there? So I'm listening in on this guy's draw simulation, trying to help Mike out a little bit. Get this place another minute. Any other words show up that I need to know? Moreover.
Moreover.
Eliza, what else do you want to tell us? We're going to wrap this one up.
Come on, lady.
Side.
Eliza, can you tell us goodnight? Please. I'm going to wrap it up, as promised. Nice and short here. Anything over there, ladies? Alright, let's start motioning towards the back here where we started.
Eliza, what was your garden like?
That's a very vague question.
How much money you have?
Eliza, did you grow sunflowers?
That's a yes or no.
Oh yeah, you're right. Eliza, what's your favorite flower?
I think I heard the why we're leaving here already. Let me explain. So, Mike, go ahead and mute that for me if you don't mind. We're gonna go over the. Yep, you got it. We're gonna go over all the answers, and I'll kind of show you how I tie all this together. Every year I change this up. I take out one space and add another one. This was one of the spaces I was looking to take out simply because I was getting disrespectful people on the tours going, "Oh, Eliza, let's do this kind of stuff." That's not the way you talk to a prominent English woman. And we were getting disembodied voices on that red spirit box with like, "Please just leave us alone." That's
Yeah.
not radio chatter. And I have obviously the software to be able to prove that it went over 13 different radio stations. So I kind of gave her a break. And when I was redesigning this for this year, it was kind of like, I don't want to lose the Pinckney Mansion site because I definitely want to start at Big John's. That's a long hike. You get my point. Plus, this is probably one of the most active places I've ever been in 11 years that I've been doing this. So I came back and I told Eliza and kind of said my piece of like, I'll be brief. We won't stay as long as we normally do, and make sure I do the respectful piece. And every night before I meet with you guys at that corner, I have to come from this way. So I always stop here for just a minute and let her know how many people I'm bringing. It's just a respect factor. So again, the fact that we had our 27 kind of showed us we had a little bit of a presence here. So you guys are probably just missing things in real time, which is perfectly fine. You've never done this before. But I am excited about a few things. We did get the word soldiers on there. That could be bleed over from Big John's over to here, or I'm sorry, from Pinckney Mansion over to Big John's. That's what you guys are going to hear me use that term a lot. Even though Big John and Eliza are from two different centuries, I do see a lot of bleed over. So we could have gotten things from Pinckney Mansion over there and vice versa. You did get the word nerd shortly thereafter, as I said, nerding out with Nick. So it was kind of like, all right, somebody's listening in. And then as I was mentioning the slave quarters here and how we can't prove anything back here, we did get the word slave on that word list.
I think we're on our flower bed right now.
What do you have?
On bed.
Wow, you did ask what her garden looked like.
I did.
Interesting. And we also got the word stem. So we do get a lot of gardening terms while we're here.
And she's a giant gardener.
Oh, so that's probably something she picked
Yeah,
up
so
on.
like ties it in.
And I thought you heard connected. I was going to say, yeah, we're getting real-time stuff. They did ask,
Yes.
what was that where the, yes, I'm right here? You asked if she was here? Even though I told you guys not to ask.
Should I still be recording?
But they did get a
that's a
direct
good
answer of,
question.
I'm right here. So I'm kind of okay with that because it wasn't yes, no.
Yeah.
Even though it was a yes, no question. So let's kind of go. Oh, I do need to explain what those readings that Carson's getting. So if you were to put that device behind your TV set, it's going to read about 40 to 60 milligauss. We got all the way up to 29 in a space with no electricity. So these motion lights are run off of solar panels, so they do not give off any EMF. So in case you were wondering that, I just put those in like a month ago and I tested them all to make sure. But the average spike for this location is between 18 to 22 milligauss. Your microwave running on high when it's heating up your food is about 150 to 170. The highest I've ever seen that device go has been here, 214. Whew. Yeah, we left. I have epilepsy.
Did anything else happen, like between voices?
I didn't give it a chance to. I have epilepsy. That's too much electricity in the air for the guy with the neurological disorder.
Oh, we need to go.
Yep. So again, you're basically safety director. As I told the lady last night, she was kind of okay. I was like, "You're safety manager." She's like, "I like director better." I'm like, okay, you're the safety director. So let's kind of cover the answers a little bit. So we're just kind of keep in mind there are people behind me.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a bad dad with those cameras. Just so you guys know, I've been yelled at way too many times. All right, so when I break out the tablet, just kind of help move the story along. This is Eliza Lucas Pinckney. So Lucas being one of the maiden names you were looking for. The first wife was Eliza Lamb Pinckney. So Lamb and Lucas were the two words. This Eliza married Charles at the age of 22. He was 45. So kind of a creepy age gap in the 1700s, a creepy age gap now.
Yeah.
It's creepy to me because I'm close to Chuck's age and my oldest daughter is
Right.
Eliza's age. So
Yeah.
But I always like to give you guys at least a snapshot. I actually just went to the Charleston History Museum this past weekend. They were displaying one of her silk dresses. And they don't put it on display ever because it is so frail. It's not even on a mannequin because they don't want the weight of the silk to hurt the fibers. So what I will tell you after seeing something of hers for the very first time, physical in hand, I couldn't believe how small of a woman she was. So even the shoes that they had that went along with that silk dress, the shoes were only about that big.
Wow.
They were tiny. So, and they came from England, so they still had the English stamp on them. So it was really cool stuff to actually go see in real time. The mansion, so these were Mike's questions. This is the only picture of the mansion we actually have. So this is fire damage from the Great Fire of 1861. So again, this is the only photograph that I know of that we actually have. Normally, if we get the terms like fire, burning, blaze, we will get the date as well. The date was December 11th of 1861, so we will get 12, 11, or 61, or a combination of the three. And normally 2 out of 3 of those digits will show up. And again, those are very specific numbers. It's not like we're the first station in Charleston. You know, you're not going to hear those kind of things. It's definitely specific numbers. If you're taking other tours here in Charleston while you're here, they're all going to tell you about a great fire.
42.3.
Nice. Very solid. So, this is a map of Charleston. This is the fire that took out the mansion. This literally went from one side of the peninsula all the way to the other. So, kind of gives you an idea. So when those other people are telling you about fires in Charleston, we've literally had dozens of them. That's why we're considered one of the most haunted cities in America, is because there's so much death and disease here. But I always like to say, my fire is the biggest. But I always like to give you guys an idea of how big it actually was. It literally went from, we're right on the coast, right? So it went all the way to the other side.
Wow.
It took the water to put it out. The children, I didn't hand out these questions, and I haven't been doing so as much lately just because it kind of irritates Eliza, and all activity will stop, including any EMF that Carson's getting. So let's touch on them very briefly, and then we'll move on to Eliza's death. So 4 children grand total. Charles, you already know about, signer of the Constitution, right? It's very boring. Let's
Creep
move on.
guy.
The next child that I talk about is Thomas. He fought in a Revolutionary War battle and was captured by the British after being shot in the left leg. So you can see the keyword terms that I get when Thomas's name shows up. So like left leg, battle, Revolutionary, and it was during the Battle of Camden. So that is southwest of here. So we do get battle and Camden all in the same evening. That's actually how I learned about this, guys. I don't do like what the city of Charleston wants me to teach you guys. I go based off of what we've had in the past, and that's how I learned about it. Any portrait of Thomas that you're going to find after that battle is of his right-hand side, so he can hide his left leg, and the cane is over his lap. So you're kind of getting the gist of all of that. The next child is what kind of pokes the bear with Eliza. It's baby George. You can already see where this one's going. Baby George didn't make it. So in June of 1747, he was born and died. We don't know if he was days old or weeks old. So my guess is that he was at least a few weeks old, because you wouldn't have named a child back then unless he was christened, which takes a few weeks. Another couple of theories that go along with this is he does not have a headstone or a grave. Here's my theory on why he doesn't have a headstone or a grave. during those times, you would have mummified your child if they were that young and kept them in your home in a tomb, waiting for the mother to pass away so that way you could be buried with them. Now, kind of a creepy thought to have a mummy baby right here in the house as we're sitting around asking Eliza about her life. So it's going to get even more weird when we talk about Eliza's death herself. So I don't know what this vehicle's doing, if they're trying to back up over here, if they're just turning around. But anyway, the last child, her name is Harriet. So the only daughter, she married Daniel Orey. Did somebody say the name Daniel earlier? Yeah, but you said Daniel.
Oh, I said Daniel.
I didn't know if you guys heard Daniel. I'm like, oh. But Daniel Orey is, the reason why that's important is because Myrtle Beach is Horry County. So that kind of gives you an idea of where she lived. That's 2.5 hours north of here. It wouldn't have been a 2.5 hour car ride for Eliza. So just kind of think of that. It would have been a lot of letter writing. So when we do hear from Harriet, which is very seldom, ink, paper, quill, these are all terms that we've gotten in the past. Eliza's death, which were your questions. First off, she was 70 years old when she passed away in 1793. It's a long time for a woman to be alive during colonial times. She was going to Philadelphia getting treatments for whatever they thought she had. It turned out to be breast cancer. We didn't know what breast cancer was in 1793. We're going based off her medical records. She died in Philly. She's buried in Philly. That should raise two questions in the back of your brain. First one is baby George. If my theory's true, they would have transported him from here all the way to Philadelphia by horse and carriage. That's a long ride.
Yeah.
Most of you look old enough to remember the game Oregon Trail. Somebody's going to get dysentery on that trip. Like, it's a long ride. So somebody chuckled. Good. Like, gets my jokes. But the other question in the back of your brain is, if Eliza's up there, what the hell are we doing down here? I don't actually take you to cemeteries. Reason why? It's minimal activity at best. I know that all of the TV shows and all of that like to take you through cemeteries because it's creepy. People don't stare at their headstones when they're gone. They go to their mansions 400 miles away. Which is why we're standing in the middle of an empty parking lot dodging traffic.
Or where you're pissed off about something,
know, right?
you go there.
Now, the other piece of this is who wants to take a guess at who the president was that was the pallbearer at Eliza's funeral. Now that you know what year it was.
Wait.
1793. I see some wheels spinning.
Thomas Jefferson?
No.
So
I'm
close.
glad you guys are answering incorrectly. Let me explain. It was George Washington.
Okay.
When we got here, I told y'all I'm not going to give you guys questions like what color is George Washington's white horse.
Yes.
I do that
you
on
go.
purpose.
You did.
Subliminally putting George Washington in the back of all of your brains
I was
to see
trying
who's
do the
going to spit
math.
it back out.
76 to so I went with third. So.
So with that, you all pass with a fail. That's
Yes.
a good thing.
I was
Normally,
thinking
if a
about it.
person with a spirit box answers George Washington, especially while I'm doing my little round robins with you guys, I take their spirit box and I give it to somebody else. Because again, they're just going to repeat everything that we've already heard, which was that kind of the New York bit where I'm like, did she just get the subliminal or was it really there? So again, kudos to all of you. At George Washington's own request, he wanted to pay homage to Eliza based on her indigo that helped get her country started. He knew his politicians and his governors very well, and there was always a Pinckney in office. So it's not like he didn't know them. And by the way, if you ever hear of George Washington's visit to Charleston, he secretly met with Eliza in Georgetown for breakfast before he stopped in Charleston for his 10 or 12 day trip. I can't remember how long it was. But yeah, that's kind of a little known secret if you really dive in. Just because it was probably a business meeting and a shake of the hand. Like, thank you for helping me out. Now, where we're going next is an alley. So here's a couple of things we need to know. For video cameras, you're not going to be recording along the way. You're going to record once we get into the alley, but yes, it is a very popular ghost tour stop. So just be very discreet with your recording. It's an alley and people are going to see that you have a camera. So if it gets a little too crowded in there, specifically with yours, I'll ask you to grab that top handle and just lower it. That way we can still get the footage and nobody knows that you're recording. If you get my point. You're like, gotta be sneaky Pete. Teach them how to sneak around the city with a camera. So obviously yours is a cell phone, you get it. Person, you can ignore your readings along the way, just because the parking meters are gonna make your device go off. The electrical lines for them are underneath our sidewalks. No ghost is following you around. And what was that number again? 47, do you remember? 47.9, that's what I thought it was. So I'll be writing that one down along the way. This is really about the communication devices. Mike, you are definitely going to unmute while we're walking. Okay. When we get into the alley, you're going to put it on mute for us so that way we can get in and not disrupt other tours if they're going to be there, and I can go over the history. I will also tell you the next location, because it is an alley, we're not going to spread out like what we did here. I'm looking for that bleed over. Okay. We're going to go in there and stir shit up and then go to the next space, and hopefully we get stuff from both pieces of history. And it's a beautiful alley, by the way, so anybody that loves to take pictures, it is probably one of the most picturesque places we have in Charleston. So again, it's perfect day or night. It's the perfect lighting. Cool. Any other major questions about the Pinckneys? Now that you guys have all kind of settled down? Wow.
Nope.
All right, let's get those spirit boxes cranked and let's go see what we can get over.
that's rear, and then that's
She's telling me.
Okay, we didn't hear anything as we were conversing
Right.
either. So, but luckily you were next to the voice recorder, so if anything was there, it's caught right there.
Cool.
So definitely let's get those cameras running. Damn it, Hannah's already got hers going. I don't know why I keep getting them too confused. You'd think I'd have it down by now. But yeah, other tours when they do pass through here, just so you guys know, they'll pop out of that ivy wall because there's a little walkway right there. So they'll come through this way, or they'll come from that end and come all the way through. When that happens, we'll kind of split the seas like what we've already done, and we will just let them go. I will stop talking because again, I tell a different portion of history at these locations. So let's kind of get into why we're here. This is Philadelphia Alley. This used to be called Dueller's Alley. This is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. By the way, Carson, your baseline here is going to be about a 7 because of the lampposts near us.
Solid.
So, but when I say some of the duels occurred down here, it's because dueling was illegal back in the 1700s, and of course they had to find a hiding spot. So this was one of those hiding spots. So here's how the story goes. Every ghost tour that comes down here tells the exact same story because we can prove it, but you're going to hear it a little bit different from me because we're ghost hunting, not campfire marshmallow type of stories, like what everybody else is doing. So let's kind of go through it. Doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. I say that slowly because if we get the song Brown Eyed Girl on here, that's Remy. Don't worry about him. We're in his house. Yes, I named the rat that we get in here.
Remy, I like
He's
it.
in there. He's fine.
Does he
like
cook?
A tree rat or an actual?
Like a rat. Like a Charleston rat.
There it is.
Oh, do you see?
Oh.
There he goes. He's dancing on top of it.
Another one like
Hella Remy's.
climbing up here.
Okay, sorry.
They don't come near us. They're fine. They're just out looking at the moon.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like a big. That one was small. Okay, sorry.
Anyway.
She's used to
There
a
it
much
is.
bigger rat.
Yeah, they go up on the walls. Yeah, they're all over the place. But where was I? Oh, by the way, if we hear the song Brown Eyed Girl down here, it's not coincidence. It's actually part of his name. So, again, we get it all the time. Anyway, he moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. So, there you are. Yeah, right? Amanda just inherited a
She
bunch.
just said shy when you did that.
Congrats.
She just inherits a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with all of this cash flow. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's cash flow, so he tells Amanda, get rid of the doctor. Dr. Ladd moves to Charleston to prove that he's not after Amanda's money. So as he's coming into town, the coachman set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a good start to his stay here.
Wow.
But somebody was walking by. His name was Ralph Isaacs. This is where we stop. Ralph Isaacs has the same initials as where the doctor came from, Rhode Island. So our eye was showing up all the time on our red spirit boxes, so I wanted to verify it, so I bought the new Envoy. It's basically a digital Ouija board device to verify we were getting those specific letters. We're not using it tonight, but I will tell you when I am telling this part of the history of this, we've had it at least half a dozen times in the past 4 or 5 months. So it does come up, and it's not coincidental that we do get our eye when I mention Ralph Isaacs. So anyway, back to Ralph. He tells the doctor, dude, you don't want to stay here. I know this guy. He's going to try to kill you. Something's like tickling my arm. I think it's my straps or Remy. He's getting me. So you guys got me jumpy now. But anyway, come with me to 59 Church Street. You can rent a room from some friends of mine and you'll be safe and good to go. Doctor took him up on the offer. They became friends. The longer the doctor stays here, though, in Charleston, the more money he's making. He's proving his point. We didn't want Amanda's money. He's getting his own. Amanda got wind of this and she's moving down so they can get married. Dr. Ladd became known as the Whistling Doctor. What I'm going to tell you is that every haunted city you're ever going to visit has a cliched whistling ghost. You guys have been in St. Augustine plenty of times. I'm sure there's at least 2 or 3 there as well. So we all have one. There's actual proof of this one, but we're going to get to that. I'm not just bragging. We actually have it. You're going to hopefully find it tonight. But anyway, Dr. Ladd and Ralph go see plays together. They can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. He gets better seats. That's just the way the hierarchy works. They talk about these plays on the way home. They're arguing over a new actress that was in town one night from Richard III from Shakespeare. And Dr. Ladd thought the new actress was great. Ralph didn't. The argument turns into Ralph insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. And it gets very ugly, and they go their separate ways. Ralph has friends around town, as I'm sure you've already guessed, since he already took Dr. Ladd to 59 Church Street. But he goes to his friends at the newspaper. Do you have something on there that's relevant? I see chuckles. I'm like, what's going on?
It's like a nail biter. It says watch. So I'm like, waiting to your story. We're watching it.
Ralph goes to the newspaper, puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a, you're a disgrace to society kind of mentality. Doctor saw the ad, but rebutted with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. We're gonna settle this. And it all started over an argument over an actress.
On guard.
So they came down, well, a little bit, it's not swords, it's guns. 1786. They came down, they took their 10 paces away from each other, they turned, the doctor points his gun in the air, and he fired his one shot. He didn't want to kill his friend, he just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight. However, Ralph has his one bullet, and he puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. The doctor doesn't die, but he drops to the ground. His friends picked him up, took him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later, November 2nd of 1786. He also refused medical treatment during that 10-day span. He's a doctor. It's 1786. Gunshot wounds are a lot different than they are now. He probably tried to bleed out the lead poisoning from the bullet. So that's a speculation. Every version of the story at the ending is always different, but based on multiple resources, that's the only speculation I can come up with that makes sense. So every ghost tour that comes down here will tell you, listen for the whistles. Listen in and he'll get real quiet. Luckily for you, we have 2 video cameras running plus my voice recorder. You don't need to listen on your own. If it's gonna be there, it'll be there. What I will tell you is if you're gonna try this on your own, you go all the way through the alley, turn on your voice recorders from your phones and listen to it later.
Awesome.
Keep in mind, every local knows this story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street throws a whistle down the alley. I used to do it every single night when I was parking down this way on Cumberland. And I did that because I've been kicked out of here. Let's talk about that. That's the fun part of the story. So, this alley didn't go all the way through this way. The reason why is because there was a wall about halfway between us and Cumberland Street. This is where they kept the livestock for the city of Charleston. This used to be called Cow Alley before it was Dueler's Alley. So that means the bricks way down on the other end where I cannot take you. Those bricks are older than the bricks that we're standing on. Those are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint from a slave child down there. You guys may have seen those at Boone Plantation. Yeah. So there's a full handprint of a slave child and fingerprint swipes at the end of this alley. So that's spot number 2 out of 3. You guys will hit them all if you go down there. I used to take my groups all the way through here when I was new at this, and I used to show off that handprint just because we all need to see how far we've come from slavery, right? It wasn't like, hey, look at the slave handprint. You guys get the point. But anyway, November 26th of 2020, I took my entire group down there, and they're all waiting for something to happen. I treat that brick the same way I do a grave. That's the last place you're going to find that kid.
Yep.
I'm also trying to shoo them along because it's outside the kitchen window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. I'm trying to be respectful, and I didn't know I was out of bounds. So, the new owner of that mansion came out screaming. My daughter thought it was great because she was on the tour that night, and her dad's getting yelled at. She's laughing her ass off. So, we moved on. Now, the next day was Thanksgiving. I worked in retail management for over 20 years, mainly for Walmart. I don't do Thanksgiving anymore. I took the day off. So, the next day was the 28th of November. These dates are important. I'm going to get to them. I told my partner that I had at the time, where I was learning about tourism and whatnot, and I told him what happened. He starts laughing. He says, you can only go down halfway, or you got to reroute the group. It's considered residential. So I said, now I know. I decided to reroute the group, but what I told my team that night was, I don't believe in the next story because I've never had anything happen there. So I'm a vampire guy, not a pirate person. Yeah. Before we left, somebody heard the name Anne on a spirit box. I'm like, okay. I didn't tell them who we were going to be investigating. The famous female pirate, Anne Bonny. So I'm like, okay, holy shit. So we get over there, and I told them what little bit I did know about piracy, which wasn't very much. Again, tickets were much cheaper back then when I can actually wing it. And then somebody else heard the number 300. I don't know what that means. I write it down. I'm researching the next morning. We were there November 28th of 2020, and Bonnie's trial for piracy, November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial on my first true investigation.
That's bonkers.
Right? So now my problem is, you guys already know what degrees I have. My problem is that pirate stories come from pirate lore. I have a master's degree in creative writing. I need facts and data in order to be able to create things logistically. So my problem is that I had to read more damn books on pirates than I ever wanted to in my entire life.
Oh, it's a raccoon.
Was it a raccoon? Yeah. I thought it was a cat, but yeah, raccoon.
We have a lot of cats around here, so maybe.
That was a raccoon.
Yeah,
sure.
Maybe.
It was a striped tail, it was a raccoon. His name was Rocky. But anyway, the next space we go to came from a minimum of 2 different resources. So again, half my library now is all books on pirates and how to debunk things and how life actually was back then. So the other thing I need to tell you about that space and why I like the bleed over from here into there is because that is a hit or miss location. We're not going to have the EMFs that we normally saw at the Pinckney Mansion site, and if we get something out of the Anne Bonny story, it's either a lot or nothing. Like, that's how that space works. So the hope is that we're going to get bleed over from here as well, so that way we can actually get a little bit of piece of both. Before we leave the space, you guys were all staring at the gate, so you guys kind of reminded me, so kudos to you. There's a reason why this gate is here. So this archway, and remember that I told you that the alley didn't go all the way through this way? if there was a loser to the duel going on down here, this was a shortcut to get to the cemetery on the other side of that wall.
Oh, wow.
So this is what I call the death gate. Otherwise, they'd have to go all the way down to the end of the alley, which you can see very clearly, and then double back around to be able to get to the cemetery. That's a lot of walking with dead weight, literally. So you guys get the point of why this wrought iron was probably put there in the early 1900s. So it's the archway, if you take a look at the very top, is actually part of the original wall. So very cool stuff. Not a whole lot of people know why that's actually there, except for my groups, because I don't even remember where the hell I read it. To be honest with you, it was years and years ago when I first started doing this. So I was kind of like, I can't remember where I got the link from. But that I call this the death gate, just because that's what they did. Took the dead people through it. Those of you with video cameras, we're going to exit the same way we came in, because remember, I can't take you that way, right? Because I'm not going to get yelled at by the old neighbor again. Anything crazy you may have heard?
I just heard the name Charles.
Charles Pinckney, the husband, is buried on the other side of that wall, literally. So very interesting. He's introduced himself. We'll see what else comes up with it. I have an expectation, but I'm going to wait to see if you find it. Anything else coming on with your crazy word list over there?
I had involvement, and now I have sleep.
Sleep. Well, we're not going to sleep
Oh.
yet.
Now up.
Very interesting. Any numbers come out of yours, Carson? That's the beauty of this. It changes every single day. I never know what the hell we're going to find. You obviously got some pretty good footage, so kudos to you. We'll see how steady of a hand you have. You were kind of all over, like moving it one-handed and whatnot. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
we'll see how that looks in the morning. So if you want to continue recording along the way, that's fine. Just keep them. We're only going up and around the corner, but there's maybe other tours up there. Just kind of be mindful of them. But we're going to stay out of their way, like I always mention. I actually expected a lot more down here, and maybe there is, and you have it on video. We just can't see them. So let's hit up and go talk about the rated R pirates. Let's see who got my jokes.
Not brave.
Not brave.
Not brave.
Nobody got my rated R pirate joke? Really, guys? Come on.
I'm sorry.
I was waiting on Mike to get
I know. I'm better than that. Rated R.
Like it us. Oh, except not at
Also seeing me coming up to Christmas and Easter. But church is fine today, especially in rural areas.
and things about the plane. So like cockpit and no cockpit, very specific. There 1 second on that. I thought that was one of the very
incredible.
Yeah.
Sounds like.
well, one of the first people with a power back. Full blown figure.
That is awesome.
Right here, so you can get their damn full moon picture. It doesn't get much better than that. I mean, honestly.
That's a cool picture.
I mean, that's 95% full moon tonight.
Just heard the word theft. I don't know if that's relevant.
We're talking about pirates.
He's like, yep, that checks out.
I was letting you guys be tourists because the 95% full moon is right next to our tallest steeple.
Oh, that's awesome.
Shelley had a notice address. I don't know.
What's the address you see?
I don't know. That's
Look
why
at
I
that.
was looking for an address number or something for an address.
What is that on the camera?
Oh, that's my shadow.
Oh.
It always gets my
was like-
shadow.
So let
I
me
was like,
tell
there's
you
a guy on the bottom
why
of the
your
movie.
shadow shows up. It's because there's an absence of light. So it looks at that as kind of like there's depth there.
Yeah. Interesting.
I'm glad he figured that out.
I know. I was like,
Yeah,
there's a guy crawling on the ground.
He's hurt. Somebody help him. Like,
Yeah, you want
his
need a
arms
hand?
up. No, that's the camera. That's funny. This is a fun group.
We try.
Everybody got their pics? All right, let's get to that.
That was probably the best picture I've ever taken.
That's gorgeous.
So some of the best stuff that I've caught here is we end on like next to a cobblestone street, and in the like I guess early spring it gets really foggy down here at like 11 in midnight.
got
And the
bit.
fog over the cobblestone, like you're like that's one of those pictures.
So you're inviting us back like
Yeah,
next March?
Like you and I are gonna be pen pals, I think.
I don't doubt it at all.
All right, so already remember I told you the Ivy wall, not your friend. This
Yeah,
is the
yeah.
guy. All right, so what do I need to know about what's going on with your devices? Anything,
I haven't noticed anything online.
Shelley?
Just the
Just
address
trying to
thing.
figure out what the addresses are
Yeah,
at.
so this is
It's holy,
79.
apparently.
Holy.
Oh, well, you're first
At
off.
a church.
Yeah. Whenever we're near the church is when you guys start seeing those religious terms. So if you don't believe me, go back and look at every other investigation in the past year. So it always happens starting around here. But this is 79 Cumberland is the address of the Powder Magazine, which is what we're going to be discussing. But I'm actually going to be looking at. It's so weird because there's literally like that whole corner over there could be something going on. There's literally like 15 stories around this corner. So sometimes, even though we're going to focus on pirates, if something else pops up, like the church thing, I have to point it out or tell an additional piece of history that I know is actually true. So this is a space where we're going to spread out once I give you the history of Anne Bonny. Other tours love to cut through here. I bring us to the back because they come in through that entryway or go that way and vice versa, because that's the two entry points for the lot. But we're here to discuss that little tiny building over there with the crosses on it. So Californians, you can laugh at me. Those are earthquake bolts. So
Nice.
let me explain to the Ohioans what earthquake bolts are. So do you guys all know what they are? Wow.
No, we don't have them, so.
No, just stop the shaking to hold it
Right.
together.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. But
So those giant crosses.
we just let everything fall and just rebuild and
I know you guys got like some new weird shimmy system thing going on or something out there. I don't know. I see a lot of
There are.
Californians,
There's
believe it or not.
so it has the gift to
there's
shake.
places that have them on rollers. That,
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's kind of crazy.
But ladies, those are earthquake bolts. So earthquake bolts are turnbuckles. So if we have another earthquake, which we haven't, like in 1886, you can turn them. It tightens the building so it doesn't incur any further damage. Great idea, doesn't work. So I bring it up because it's part of the reason of why we're here. So those earthquake bolts specifically, those big ones, are the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston ever put in. The reason why is because it's the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. We're here because that building is what I call a familiar. This building was being constructed at the same time that Anne Bonny came here to start a new life. So for those of you that watch TV shows and all that stuff, you've seen them where they used a teddy bear to attract a child ghost. It's the same principle because the child would recognize the teddy bear as a plaything. This is just something that Anne would recognize because we don't have any buildings this old. The rest of the city probably looks very strange to her. But anyway, you guys got to follow me on this one because we're talking about a female pirate and there's a lot of twists. So I'll slow down on those twists. The story begins in the middle of the building's construction. First off, I'll point out that the building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years? No, not at all. But anyway, 1708. Back in Ireland, a young lady moves here. Her name is Anne Cormac. She comes here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. Is everybody with me so far?
Yep.
Okay, the three of them are running away from her father's angry wife. How pissed was she that they had to leave Ireland by boat? There's no planes. So they land in Georgetown. That's between us and Myrtle Beach. So dad bought a plantation. Mom dies pretty quickly. That means dad is sending young Anne down here to be able to sell anything from the plantation to keep things afloat, hence the familiar building. You get the point. Anyway, Anne back home in Ireland was said to be a badass even back then. At the age of 7, 8, 9 years old, remember it's pirate lore, nothing is exact, they say she killed a servant with a knife to the belly. We've had the term servant, knife, and belly show up on 3 different devices when the other 2 people don't know what's going on yet. So take that for what it's worth. Fast forward, the building's done in 13. By 1715, pirates are starting to come through Charlestown. and stoked. Why? She's gonna fall in love so she can earn her freedom, just like a man. It's a man's world. First guy she falls in love with. I said first with a hesitation because there's a lot of gentlemen and we're going to talk about every single one of them. So, first guy is James Bonney. You already see where this one's going, right? So, dad didn't approve. He's a filthy pirate. They run away to Jamaica and get married, and Cormac is now Anne Bonny. That's where the pirate name came from. However, James Bonney is not Captain Jack Sparrow like what she was hoping for. This guy turns out to be a privateer. So, congratulations, he's a spy. This is not who she wants. He's a coward. So she falls in love again a few years later. This is John Rackham, but everybody calls him Calico Jack. Calico Jack, oh, by the way, this is the guy they based your Johnny Depp character off of, in case you're wondering who the hell this guy actually is. He has his own ship and his own crew and wants to be part of it. You can't put a girl on a pirate crew. Does anybody want to guess why? Or know why? Okay, good.
Yeah.
I stopped asking that question when I thought this group's having a lot of fun. We'll see what happens. It's bad luck. I get a lot of little kids on this tour, and I stopped asking that question because your guys' dirty minds are starting to come through. But anyway, he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and look like my crew, you can be part of it, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy apprentice back home in Ireland to hide her from his wife. She gets it. So, let's put two and two together. She's a female in his quarters. She's eventually going to get pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl, and then they're going to get rid of Jack as captain. They're going to vote him off. So he decides, let's drop her off in Cuba. Go have the baby here, come back later, we'll figure it out. She goes and has the baby, but returns with no baby. I will tell you, in all of the research I've ever done about this, I can't find an answer. So if you're going to ask about it, that's, again, a personal effect to you only. She comes back dressed as a female. This makes Jack pretty angry. What she's going to do to make him even more angry, she's going to go flirt with the pirate crew that he just captured and they're down below deck. We're on guy number 3, in case anybody truly lost track. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the crew that Calico Jack captured. Now we have 2 females dressed like males on the same ship. You guys get it? Good. I don't have to explain it. So this young lady's name is Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. Her and Mary became friends, possibly lovers. We're not going to really know for sure, but the British find out where they are. They send a fleet of ships, take down one pirate ship. The rumor is that Anne and Mary were the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with 1 bullet flintlocks, probably because they don't know how to use cannons yet, because they haven't been pirates for very long. Now, obviously 2 ladies with 1 bullet flintlocks are not going to take on a whole fleet of British Navy ships. They get arrested, and as they're being arrested, she looks at her captain in bow, Calico Jack, and she says, Jack, I'm so sorry to see you here, but if you would have fought like a man, you wouldn't be hanged like a dog. The word dog shows up a lot on your spirit boxes, by the way. I've even had people had accounts of, I just heard a dog barking through the spirit box as we're entering before they know the story. So, anyway, the judge wants to see the 2 men that fought back so valiantly on their own. He's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunken pirates that wouldn't fight. They're dead and gone. Anne and Mary go in front of the judge. It's their turn, November 28th, 1720. You guys already heard this date. But they reveal their gender, hoping to save themselves. The judge doesn't give a shit that they're female. They're still pirates. He's still going to hang them. We plead our bellies, was what they screamed back to him, because you can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. He sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging until after the pregnancies are over, but Dad is still here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money. He bails her out. She remarries. Well, he brings her back home, of course. She remarries. It's husband number 2, but guy number 4, because we're going to count Mary. We don't really know. She has 4 kids, dies at the age of 84. Wow. Yeah.
84?
Yes. In the 1700s, no less.
Yeah,
That's good.
Right? And we don't know much about her after her pirate career, which is why it ended so abruptly. Mary Reed died 5 months later in the Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. Most books will tell you that it was something very simple. Like, I was going to say scurvy, but if you want to go syphilis, go for it. Scurvy sounds more piratey. So there's only a few things I left out of here because you guys all know what you're doing with your spirit boxes by now. We are going to spread out, like I said. Well, I guess we should start with Carson. EMF detection is not always at its highest, and the closer you get to the front, I'll call that the front, 2 electrical poles in the corners, parking meters on the other side of the bushes. It's normally anywhere else I get excited. And that is a 2.5 baseline and higher. So even a 2.5 is going to, like, all right, we finally have something here. Spirit boxes, I left out a few things on purpose. Ask whatever the hell you want to. Just kind of keep that in mind. But I left out the name of Anne Bonny's parents on purpose. So that's the father and the mistress. I left out the name of Calico Jack's ship name on purpose. So if you want to ask about that. The name of the city where Anne grew up in Ireland. That one's interesting because that one's been coming up more and more, and I'm going to give you one. If you want to ask about her hair color, it is red. So, so we do get the word red here a lot if you ask directly. And this is not a prominent English woman where we have to tiptoe and be respectful. Poke the bear here, guys. Get the answers. Especially with you, Carson. I want to see if we can definitely get something out of it, like kick her ass a little bit. It's okay. Sweet. Kick her in the shins. She can take it.
She's a pirate.
I know, right?
So
she'll stab you in return.
crazy story.
the gal that killed my grandfather, her name was Bonnie Reed. Swear to God. Bonnie K. Reed.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so my grandmother, they got divorced. He shacked up with her. She fed him pills. She offed him and got rid of him and stole all his money. And it's Bonnie Reed. Like, that's. So I was like, the whole time you were saying this, I'm going, okay, this is freaking weird.
Now that you actually put that out there, we'll see what you can get out of it.
That's right.
Flip it on.
Expect.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will tell you, one of the first nights we used that, this used to be my grand finale, everybody. We have one more place to go, but as I'm packing things up, it was a really light night for that team, so they're all kind of like, all right, we talked a lot. And I'm packing it up, and the guy hands me back this spirit box, and it says, Pirate, plain as day. I'm a guy that has studied phonetics and words for the past 8 years in college. I know it wasn't the Pittsburgh Pirates one thing. I know I'm a pirate.
Willie Stargell.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, that doesn't record. The person with the thermal imaging was close enough by where I can capture the audio from that and still give them a separate audio piece for it, because we all went, that thing just said pirate, you know, because they were all super quiet, because they were, again, like waiting for me to wrap things up because it was a light night. Again, ghosts aren't on a payroll. I can't make shit happen. But that was very exciting. So hopefully you get something out of there tonight. That's very.
It was just, as you were saying it, I'm going, wow. This is
Hopefully. I'm glad I gave you that device.
kind of crazy.
Anything I need to know?
Well, it's funny. It said when he told his little story, it got like all red, and it said individual, and it said no. Bonnie K.
Liar.
Pissed off at you.
Bonnie Carey's mad.
She's like,
No, but she
no.
killed my grandfather. Like, that's not cool.
Oh, what the?
All right, so again, nice slow motions. Let's get everybody spread out and let's see what we can find. Let's do this. Get you guys to work.
Kind of froze.
You broke it.
Yeah, just
Wow.
reset it. Cool.
Have you been listening to that Spirit Box at all? I thought you'd be jumping in on that. Because being a videographer isn't always the most exciting job. So I figured for
No,
sure
I
like you'd be
haven't.
jumping in on that guy.
I haven't. Yeah,
Yeah, being the cameraman isn't always the best job out here. It's cool to watch for a few minutes and it's like, all right, no ghosts are showing up.
I don't mind.
Let me try it. 4.
Huh?
We'll go 4 steps.
From where you were at.
Yeah.
Where'd the four pop? When you were testing?
Yeah, we were actually over there when it popped up. So.
Yeah.
All right.
What'd you guys find?
We have 4. We had east. I touched the building and we had east.
And then
we
it said
started
4.
walking 4
So,
steps.
so
that
I
way.
did my compass to go east, which is, it said this way.
That's the eastern coast. So to go east would actually be.
Oh.
So that's where we went that way.
Well, true north is not. That's not. You know.
Right. I mean, it is an iPhone, so.
Don't get me started. We just went through that battle. Like, I don't know how to use this stupid thing.
China doesn't know where east is. Like.
Find my compass and see what it says. Maybe I don't know.
Well, there's magnetic north.
Yeah, because I know like our eastern coast of the peninsula is over there. It's Apple. Don't worry about it.
Exactly.
Let me see.
How are you guys?
So we went the wrong way. So we need to go forward that way.
Well, here's the interesting thing.
Like a
When you
ghost
touched the wall, you said.
It says the same thing.
Which is always scary in the corner. go into a corner.
Well, the original Charlestown Wall
It says the same
actually
thing.
came up
Yeah.
Cumberland. So, and there's all these bastions. On
This
the
is
corner.
weird.
I don't know all the names off the top of my head. I probably should. But I was trying to think like this one, like this was. Trying to think. No, this would be the north.
Such a sketchy building. Like, look how old it is.
So the 79.
I have a numbers thing. I'm not going to say what it is. But it's always interesting. Nope. But
That belongs to the St. Thomas. That belongs to the church. Then what I'm more interested in to see if something else comes up with these spirit boxes about the address catty corner from us.
Okay.
So it's the brick building over there. They're doing some construction on it. And
yeah.
Wow, laughing or crying?
Yeah, it just sounded it could have been either.
There was something there. I don't know what it was. Carson, you got anything? He was right next to the damn lamp poles.
Furniture.
Not as surprising.
Yeah, this is a weird spot. So it's definitely hit or miss. I just heard that one little something out of it, but that's been pretty much it.
I heard what you said, or I heard that, but I didn't know what it was.
It's a cool building.
See what it looks like going through camera. We got night vision on.
There's somebody up in the tower. Grew up in this area?
No. Originally from Ohio.
Oh, that's right. You said that.
Yeah.
And what brought you down this way?
Walmart.
Oh,
Directly
okay.
down in Myrtle Beach.
Oh, cool.
Separated, I come down here. Try to just start everything fresh.
My father and my uncle would go to Myrtle Beach for like 30 years to play golf. And so over the last 6 or 7 years, I've gone 4 times with them on that trip. My dad's 84 now. But yeah.
All kinds of common things with you and this Anne Bonnie story. Anne was 84 when she died.
Oh, crazy. That's wild.
Sorry.
No,
Just
no.
how I piece things
No,
together.
no, that's perfect. So yeah, my dad's 84 currently, and we still play golf together, but we haven't been to Myrtle Beach. It was 2 years ago, I think, that we went. But yeah, so Myrtle Beach was awesome just to go and...
It's not awesome to live.
Right, so fly from California, play golf, and then
Yeah.
get out.
Yeah, this is a whole different world down here compared to Myrtle.
Yeah. No,
Even on a living spectrum.
we totally dig it down there.
Ladies, anything?
I heard religious music, but
Yeah. Looking for it now.
Yeah, Myrtle Beach was a trip. Just the bikers on the main drag, and there wasn't like a whole lot to do.
Every once in a while, we see distractors come down here. It's a nice run for bikes to go from Myrtle Beach to here on 17 along the coast. You know, cut through Georgetown and come down here. It's a straight shot, so it's a nice ride for them. We see stragglers from them every once in a while, but they don't stay.
Yeah.
Carlson doesn't put up with that. It's not very much. Andy, you're supposed to be like the star of the show at this location.
Ladder.
Ladder.
Ladder, I heard that.
You having fun?
Yeah. Totally. Just no place I'd rather be.
Exactly.
Don't debate it, just bring it out. What'd you get?
Does it
He
do
was,
anything
and
when
then I
you're in
couldn't
front of
hear
somebody? Oh.
It's trees, Mom. Relax.
No. Oh, it's maybe the metal?
Are you okay?
No, you're.
It's the tree. Mom.
Shelly, anything on yours? Now you have Western. I heard South on there. You guys had East. Like,
Oh my gosh, right before this was tire, and now it says Western.
She's got a 66 Mustang, and she's getting tires done at Western, our
Western
local
Tire.
Western Tire place.
And they're getting the tires in this week. So
And they're very rare tires. They're like the white wall to match the 66 Mustang.
That's very weird.
That's pretty funny.
somebody's watching. It's like, who did you bring with you?
That's funny. I had tire in Western like right after. That's very fun. Very, very funny. That's very funny because I asked.
I don't believe in coincidences. I mean, I see this every day. So
That's very funny because I asked my dad to say something.
Oh wow! Her father passed away like a couple
very
years
funny.
ago, and he was in a car club, and that was their place for tires and brakes and all that kind of stuff.
Very funny though. Very. That's just weird. Those two words next to each other.
Are you ready?
Are you ready?
okay, are you ready to go? She's not saying much at all.
Something about being ready.
Are you ready? I'm just interested because you had East, Western.
Wait,
I
wait.
heard South.
Oh yeah.
We have almost all four directions. The only thing we're missing is what, North?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's funny. Why would tire come up? Why would tire
Because
come
it's
up
meant
at all?
for you, not us.
That's just weird. Next to Western. Why would those two be next to each
Your
other?
dad's hanging out.
All right, I say we call this one.
I would have
There's not much
expected at
going
Big
on.
John's, but you know.
All right, come on over here to the wall. So this one is kind of a slow dud, other than this obvious message coming straight to you. But we'll cover the very quick, short answers, and I'll explain the next space because it's not like what we've been doing. So it's a lot more extreme than what we've been doing. So it's gonna get a little weird. For some of you.
Nice one.
All right, so by the way, this is one of the spaces why I give that heated warning at the top of the tour. Let me kind of explain that one. It'll make a whole lot more sense. A year ago, this past September, I brought my group to the back just to where we were. If you can go ahead and mute that for me, it would be great. The kid next to me literally goes white as a ghost and he's starting to faint. Like, it's a bad deal. I say kid, he's probably 21, 22 years old. I have to pick him up by his armpit to stop him from hitting his head on the ground. His boyfriend picked him up from the other side of him. We brought him over here. Got him a bottle of water. He's feeling better. I then told the piece of history that I told you guys already after he was doing okay. Again, this used to be the last stop. I told like 3 stories here, go spread out, go find the ghost. And these 2 guys pulled me aside. Nick, we are 2 transgender males. I had 2 females dressed as males, just like Ann and Mary in the story on the tour. Something I didn't realize in real time, but it made complete sense, at least partially, but I still can't explain it, if that makes sense. Like, I get the irony, but again, not a coincidence at all with your Western Tire thing going on over there. So it's definitely not weird at all. This is the type of things that I see. So psychics and mediums normally don't make it past the Pinckney Mansion site. Again, I already told you that we've gotten triple digits over there with the EMF detection from Carson's device. Again, I try my best not to give a psychic or a medium if I know they're psychic a spirit box, because it's two different types of messages. They don't understand it, and it's too much. Like, they're gonna pass out. Like, it's almost too much every single time. So I've learned to kind of read my room, which is why I have you guys show up early, so I can kind of get a gist of like where's your knowledge base and those kind of things. But anyway, just like to point that out, because again, that's an uncanny thing that you don't see or hear about every single day. And Bonnie, one of the few pictures you can find of this young lady with a shirt on. The reason why, she used to bare her breast to show men that they were just killed by a woman. I told you, this chick was badass.
Oh, that's funny.
So I get a lot of teenage boys on this tour. I don't need angry moms, if you're getting my point. So the names of her parents were William Cormac, Mary Brennan. So we were talking about games earlier. This is actually kind of what started my Assassin's Creed fascination, is because Black Flag actually has Anne Bonny's story in it. That's cool. And it's another version of it. But anyway, Mary Brennan, this was not another subliminal trick that we just happen to have a second Mary in the story. She was actually a servant for the family, the Cormac family. That's a whole nother 30-minute scandal that we're not going to discuss because it's not relevant to where we are. I am kind of excited about military he was. I have had other psychics like actually claim to see a soldier right here, and they all describe him the same way. So that would be blue pants and white shirt. So it's weird because we're in the South. Those should be gray pants, white shirt. So again, just kind of how that works, that they all describe him the exact same way. And it's not like I always talk about it. It's just a matter of they tell me when they see things. So military he was. We'll see if anything else pops up that you guys just missed in real time.
So, Anne Bonny, any connection to William Bonny? Well, right? Wild Bill. Well, William Bonny, right? That was his name.
I don't know.
So, Billy the Kid. It's William Bonny.
Is that his real name?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So,
See,
there you go.
I'm learning something every day.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm not wrong,
So
right?
I didn't mean to like give you the blank stare.
No,
but I'm like,
okay, I'm just gonna stop talking. No, William Bonny. It was Billy the Kid.
It was Bonet. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Like, when I don't know things, it's okay for me not to know.
Right. No, cool.
So when somebody's like, I don't know, now I'm gonna go home and look it up. Calico Jack. Everybody wants to see what they based Johnny Depp off of. So this is Calico Jack.
Yeah.
They named him that because of the jackets he wore. They came from British captains that he killed. His father was a tailor, so textile was very important to him. But Calico Jack translates to fancy jacket. That's where the name comes from. As far as the name of his ship, the Kingston. I don't expect the word Kingston to come through, say, your spirit box. I would expect it more out of his. The reason why, his picks up more disembodied voices than yours does. The word king would actually suffice even on Shelley's device or yours, just because sometimes we have to mix our tech with what we're actually working with here. So unless it's going to be a direct, from word of mouth, that's the only way it's going to come through as a disembodied voice, as Kingston. We're not going to get Kingston on a Charleston radio station, if you're getting my point. The name of the city where Anne grew up was Cork, Ireland. So a lot of people come up with different cities of things they just think of when they think of Ireland, I guess. Nope, it was Cork. And then the color of her hair, as I already gave you, was red. So this place was kind of a dud. I'm just going to be honest with you, unless we missed things in real time. I think we did better at the Pinckney Mansion site, even though it was still kind of light over there. I'm always honest with you guys. I'm not here to make stuff up. I'm here to actually find things with you guys. I want to find it as much as you do, but I don't want to say, oh my God, it was because of this. I'm more excited about Shelley's personal experience than anything else right now, to be quite honest. So the next space we're going to go to is going to be a lot different because we're going to be running the Estes method. Does anybody know what that is? Carson, nothing? No. I thought for sure you would. No. You guys don't know what it is either. All right, you will want to explain it. So I'm going to take two people, and I'm not going to tell them the history of the space, and I'm going to take everybody else and tell them the history, and then we're going to go back and blindfold those people and put noise-canceling headphones over them with their spirit boxes, and we're going to ask those two people questions as if they're the ghost we're hunting down. So first off, do I have volunteers? Because we don't actually have, not to put you down or anything, but we haven't been super great so far on your end. Yeah. So I normally pick at least one person from every party, usually who's been doing the best with the spirit boxes. So do you want to give it a try, or do you want to stick to it?
Yeah,
it's up to you.
Try. If you want to try, yeah, we can
Okay,
switch.
so we're obviously going to go with Hannah on this, and who's going to... I have another spirit box with earbuds, because it has to be that kind of method.
I so want to do it.
Do it, yes.
Then we'll get you one with the earbuds.
Yeah, I want to know nothing and freak
So
out.
basically, you two are going to sit on a bench, and when we get to that park up there, and then I'm going to take the rest of the four, and I'm going to give them the quick history. And what's fun about this for me is I don't know everything about the space. This is how I learn about it. This is the new space for the year. So I decided to add in this Estes method because I got a lot of people asking me about it, and I was kind of like, how can I do that on the tour where it's going to be safe first off? Because we're basically going to be using these two as a channel for the ghost to speak through them. Is basically how this works.
Wild.
Yeah, it is kind of wild. So this either works out really, really well, or it works out really, really bad in the fact that nothing happens. So not bad that you're going to go home possessed and lose your sense of humor, because none of us want that.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
But again, it's a matter of like, sometimes you guys just don't tell us anything. I've had other nights for a 10-minute session, I've had 20 answers answered directly that I was able to verify. Like, it's been on cue. It's craziness. So this is a lot of fun, even for us spectators. So Shelley's like, yeah, I want to see him blindfolded.
Yeah.
But yeah, the place we're going to is going to be a park. It's about 2.5 blocks from here, so it's about a 5-minute walk. So Carson, you get it. Ignore your readings. Definitely cameras. You don't need to be recording. And your camera is upside down. Yes. I was just looking like, wait a minute, what side is she on? Camera's always got to be on your left. We will be passing the circular church, so if anybody wants to take pictures, just know I'm not going to lose pace. You can catch up to us if you want to take pictures, because it's beautiful. It's beautifully creepy, as I like to say. So let's go blindfold some people.
Awesome.
Sounds like fun, right?
Yeah.
Sounds like a blast.
So I actually, the two afterwards.
It said dessert earlier, so I asked it, what's the dessert? And it came up with wine.
Dessert wine. Like an after dinner drink.
That's funny.
You is dissolved. Abraham Lincoln.
Come up with something.
I'm sure she figured hers out.
Let me see your
Oh,
spirit
she's
box.
working on it too. Ear holes?
It happened the same.
This is why I bring like 10 of them.
There you go. It's not the first time.
Batman.
Turn your spirit box back on for me, and then I'll set up the setup circuit for you.
This guy's out of it. I'm Batman.
Get those earbuds in.
Is there a left and a right? Or?
Probably.
25 cents each.
Working like a charm.
All right, family member, just slap these on Mike's head for me. They go straight up.
The headphones in?
Yeah, earbuds in.
Ready, Father? You got it.
Uncomfortable.
That's what I thought.
We're gonna turn his volume because he doesn't have any.
It is gonna be over.
Yep,
Uncomfortable.
that was right. We're gonna be a little snug.
I don't think it'll fit.
He's gonna have volume. He's not gonna be able to hear us. He'll adjust it.
Yeah. Time clover.
She's got volume too. Mike, can you hear us? Mike, can you hear us?
This is blocked.
Barely.
I missed
Can
what
you hear
it
us?
flashed before.
Can you hear us?
I gotta
Can
check.
you hear us?
That was
Can you
cool.
hear us? Can you hear us?
I can't see. Incredibly blocked.
All right, everybody, let's circle in. I'm gonna be on the left-hand side.
I like mine. It's fun.
All right, Shelly, come on. Let's circle on in so we're kind of hiding.
I gotta
these
go
guys.
back to my other. There we go.
All right, it is 11:04. You might have to repeat what she's saying because I did tell her. Saber. Okay, Henry Timrod, we are looking to speak to you tonight specifically So if you are here, I want you to tell us what your occupation is, please. Henry Timrod, can you please come forward and communicate back with us? You'd start by telling us what your occupation is. What?
Nice.
Last night we actually had a lot of things about sight and their lack of it.
Henry, what's your job?
Henry, can you come forth and tell us your job, please? How did you make your money?
What'd you do for work?
He's breathing a little heavier.
I think that's normal.
Is it?
Maybe. I don't know.
Probably.
No, it looks
Who else do we have here with us? Can you tell us your first name, please? We're the only ones in here. We're being respectful. Please tell us your first name.
18.
Very specific here, isn't it? It's nothing relevant to the gentleman I told you guys about. But who else is here with us? I don't think Mike knows he's supposed to be telling us what he's hearing.
Yeah, maybe not.
He's blocked.
Somebody lift up his ear muff and tell him he's supposed to be talking. Sometimes they don't get it.
Yo, father.
He can hear it.
Yo,
You gotta tell us what you're hearing.
are you hearing anything?
It's just like FM radio going
Tell me all the voices you hear.
attendance.
Here we go. Keep it going.
All right, so
Just
gotcha.
like that. Sometimes they don't get it, especially if they didn't work with that spirit box all night. Who's
Passed.
Amplifiers.
Who else do we have here with us?
Anthony.
I don't know who Anthony is. Do you know who Anthony is? Because we had Shell show up already, so I assumed it was you. Who else do we have here? If Henry Timrod is here, we would like for you to come forward specifically and tell us what you would like to talk about tonight, whether it be your family, your work, how you died. We're going to let you lead the way tonight.
Want rapist.
Interesting. It's wild.
She heard something. She's just not telling us what it is.
Did you know there are actually people?
Yeah, we know you're all here. We're trying to talk to you. You got to channel through the two people with the blindfolds on, please. They can hear you. Can you tell us your first name if you are not Henry Timrod?
Ladies and gentlemen, the last
What does it say?
Debate.
I created the heavens.
Oh, that debate.
That's a big debate.
Uh-huh.
Evil look.
There's the debate. I created the heavens, the evil look.
Get us out of here.
No, we're not leaving just yet. We've only been under for 5 minutes. Let's go with something around us. Can you tell us what church we're near? What's the big white church across the street from us? Or which sound?
Barbecue critique.
They don't do barbecues there.
W Mans.
Point. Give him a point for that one.
Help them fly.
Tell us the name of the church across the street, or maybe the sound that we get out of the church. Did she say tomb?
Two? Two or two?
We'll have to ask her when she comes out. Tomb is relevant. Two is not.
Okay. Competitive.
Yes, we are here every night, Henry. I'm trying to teach people about your life and your work.
Now you had me.
I did just hear some Judas Priest, which was pretty cool.
Behavioral.
Our Lord Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you might want to turn that up a little bit. We don't want her to hear us at all.
Yeah.
Don't scare her.
A little bit too much?
Too much?
That's too much. Henry Timrod, can you come forth and tell us what happened to your son? Maybe how old he was when he passed away? Anything specific about him?
Like tear or
Very
something.
loud.
3rd annual military. Guns N' Roses.
Solid.
Gasket.
In my heart.
Henry, do you want to tell us how you died specifically? Can you give us the disease that you died from?
Get out of my parents' home.
Rim.
Or $1 billion in taxes.
Henry, tell us how you died.
Drain.
Henry, let's go back to making it simple. Tell us your occupation, please.
On the phone, what's your question?
The question is, what is your job? How did you make your money? It's very quiet in here tonight, Henry. We're the only ones here. Henry, you came in with respect. Told these folks about a little bit about your life. And
Our Heart Radio Access.
I need you to fill in the blanks.
Considered righteous.
We're down to 1 minute, Henry. Last chance. You can feel
With
free
the grace.
to answer any of the questions that I've asked tonight. Your occupation, your wife, your son. Who does 1890 refer to?
Prayer warriors.
More things about the church. Wow, she's been pretty quiet.
Is it turned down too low?
She
No.
can hear it.
Yeah, burn.
Together.
Burn together.
That's not cool.
No.
Nope. Well, whoever was here, can you give us a number of how many of you are here before we close
Kyrie
this up?
Irving.
Irving. How many of you are actually here before we shut this down?
Did you?
number I normally get with that question is 5. Just looking
From
for
your
consistency.
homes.
Henry, how many of you are here? How many of us are there? I'll take that as a respectable answer.
Total depression.
Okay, we're getting a whole lot of nothing. Especially since she went completely quiet. Let's go ahead and tap them on the leg. Let's get them tapped out.
You just put a thumbs up to it.
You can't see them.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. So first off, how do you feel? Are you okay?
Yeah, I feel fine. Yeah.
Okay. 'Cause sometimes it could be disorienting.
Well, it was at the beginning, but that's at the beginning I was trying to relax and like take it all in, and
You took quite a few deep breaths.
yeah.
Female.
Perfect recording. So don't get up, because sometimes when you feel fine, you get up and you're a baby giraffe on the ground. Unsuccessful at this point. So nothing that was super like, oh my God, we had a direct answer to anything.
Right.
I did try to pull teeth a little bit. Like you got very quiet the last 3 to 4 minutes of it. How long do you think you guys were under, by the way?
7 minutes.
It was almost 11.
Okay.
So it was pretty close to that 11 minute.
Yeah. And I was probably erring on the larger side, so.
Most people will report that they felt like they were under for about 2 to 3 minutes. So that's usually about the average. You guys can stop your videos at this point.